In today's video, we're going to be talking about the best way to sell your Pokemon card collection. Alright, so I got this video idea from Reddit here, and someone was asking the best way to sell their collection. We'll go ahead and read this post, and then I'll kind of give my thoughts and opinions about it. So this person said, "Hey everyone, I've had some personal things come up, and unfortunately will need to part with my collection to pay some bills. Depending on where you look, collector, eBay, TCG, the collection is worth about $3,700 to $3,900. About 75% of that is singles and the rest is sealed product. But what everyone suggests as the best way to sell and get the maximum value. Local stores near me pay pathetically 30%, so that's not an option. There's a rather large card show near me this weekend I was interested in going to and selling it at, but I'm at a loss as how much value I can realistically expect to receive from both the singles and sealed product. Here's a link to my collection. Would really appreciate any advice and tips as to selling here, especially about how to navigate the show this weekend. Indeed, the best option." Alright, so my first advice to you is if you're going to a card show, don't be afraid to walk around and get multiple, I guess you want to call them quotes, whatever you want to call them, offers from people. So however that's going to do it, if you want to break it up into a bunch of different lots, if you want to do it all as one lot, that's up to you. But don't be afraid to tell a vendor, I'm going to walk around and see what other people are offering. And then, if they get offended, then obviously just don't go back to them. Who cares? They don't deserve your business. Vendors should be okay with you walking around and getting the best, offer as possible for your sealed product, obviously. And you probably are obviously looking to get the most value, as you stated. If it was me, I'd probably break it up. So, I'd probably do a singles lot and a sealed lot, and then just have values for both and say, hey, this is what I have, let them value it up. They're probably going to offer you, if it's a lot of money, they might shoot you like 80%, I would guess, around there. That's one thing that people need to understand. When you're selling your Pokemon card collection, you're never going to get 100% market value. No one's paying that unless you are the one that is taking the time to sell it out single by single, and you're almost acting as a card shop or a vendor, and then when you get into online sales, I would highly suggest, if you were going to sell online, to maybe somehow do it through Instagram or a Facebook group where you could go through PayPal and the fees are less. Because if you go on eBay or TCG, I think TCG is 14% for the top tier, and then eBay is like 13%. So right there alone, that's eating up a lot of your margin on the card. But the card show, like you said, is definitely a really good place you could take the cards. If you really wanted to, you could split it out and try to sell it single by single, but then they're more likely to offer you a lower percentage probably for the cards. And also, I want to go back to your point. You said that your local card stores are paying 30%. In their defense, I guess you could say, they might be saying like, hey, we're really not wanting to buy anything right now, like at all. So if you are desperate to sell it, we'll pay you 30%. But if not, we don't want to buy anything. That would be the only scenario I could see where they were just like, no, we don't need any more inventory. But if that's just their going rate for, that's just what they do, that's kind of crazy to me. I don't know how they would have inventory, and there's no way people go in there and go, oh, here's my $1,000 card, I'll take $300 for it, sure, no problem. There's just no way people go in there and pay, take 30% of the value of, a card or a slab, any sealed product, anything like that. There's just no way that's legit. And when I say legit, I don't mean that what you're saying is true. I just mean like, I just can't believe that that's even a thing. But yeah, I mean, if you're saying that your collection's worth $3,900, I bet you if you took it up to a vendor and worked a deal out with them, I bet you they'd pay you 31 for it. Three grand, maybe 3,100, something in there. But like, you got to be realistic too as a seller. You can't expect to get full value. Like I said, if you've held these things and they've appreciated, you make a little bit of money, then there you go. You're off to a good start. And I'm sorry to hear that personal things come up. You had to sell your collection. That's definitely something we don't like to see, especially for collectors. The hobby's fun, and when you have to get rid of them for life, I mean, it sucks, but sometimes it does happen. This person said to sell it piece by piece for maximum value, which takes the longest, or sell it to a local card shop or Facebook Marketplace for 60-80% of market value will go very quickly. And yeah, that's basically what I said. But like this person was saying that it's a time sensitive thing, kind of like they need the money, so I figured listing it as a lot would be the most effective way to do it for them. But yeah, if you sort it out piece by piece, if you sell every card individually, that is the best possible way to maximize the value on your collection. Because usually when you start lumping things together, then people try to get better deals than they could So for example, if you're buying $5,000 worth of cards versus 500, you know, 5 grand's a lot of money. Someone might come up to you and try to say, hey, like, I'll give you 4,500, and then, you know, that seller might be like, well, that's a lot of money. Or if you have like a, you know, you have like a $100 card, for example, you know, they might be like, maybe I'll move like $5, you know, I'm not really trying to move much. And I'm sure, again, there's percentages to everything like that, but I just feel like you're better off selling, like this person said, you're better off selling everything individually as a single. This person said you will receive many offers for collection buyout at 70% or lower. If you're looking for a quick flip, that's the way to go. But depending on how fast you need the money, eBay is probably your best bet. Assume 15% loss from fees and such. So at best, moving your collection is worth 85% of what you show, probably 80%. And yeah, you could do that, but there's also more risk associated with selling on eBay. Some people are really picky, and you know, they'll say like, hey, you know, this isn't as you described it, and then they're gonna want money back. They're gonna want this. They're gonna want that, and it's a whole disaster. If you know, that's why I never sell any high-end products on eBay. It's very low-end singles, like a couple dollars. You know, that's been fine for me, but I've heard horror stories with people selling $1,000 cards on there where things can get pretty interesting. And I've even had problems on eBay myself as a buyer. You know, buying cards, and that could be a topic for a whole nother video. I could talk about, you know, red flags to look out for. Never buy a card where they don't show the back. You know, we could get into more things like that to look for and feedback, but that's a topic for another video. But yeah, everything everyone's saying here is correct. If you want to sell on eBay, you could, but like, you know, 13-15%, yeah, basically consider that gone. Right off the rip. If it was me, I'd just take it to the card show, get the cash for it, and you're good. Yeah, you're gonna have cash, right? Cash is king, so you're gonna go get that cash, and then you can do what you want with it. You don't have to worry about waiting for a payout from eBay. eBay is gonna take you. You know, they pay out, at least for me, they pay out like the second of the month, so every month. So you're gonna have to wait a month if it's the middle of the month. If you sold it now, obviously you'd be looking pretty good. But if also you're a new seller, you're gonna have to wait. There's gonna be holds on transactions and things like that until they can verify that you're a legitimate seller. Yeah, that's just some of the things you got to deal with online selling. But yeah, like I said, again, I know I'm just kind of saying the same thing. Card show is probably your best option. Take it there. Probably get over 3,000 for it if I had to guess. Don't quote me exactly. I'm not a vendor. Maybe they are. Maybe someone will give you 2,900. Maybe 3 grand. You know, it just depends on what people are willing to pay. I personally don't understand why people take their stuff to card shows and, hey, I'll give you 80%. Why would I give you my card for 80% value? And I've talked about this before. I do not believe in selling at card shows as a buyer. If you're a vendor and you could sell for full value, 100% go for it. It's great. I don't understand why people will trade their cards in at a lesser value to get another card which they're just paying full for. You're losing money. Like, just instantly losing money. I don't understand it. There was one time I almost did it with my Lorcana first chapter cards. They're like, we'll pay you 80%. And I'm like, nah. Took my cards. The guy was definitely not happy because he valued them up for me. And I was like, it's like, I'm just not, no. I'm like, I saw how, I'm like, the sticker to what you're offering me is over $100. Why would I do that if I could just go sell it to someone for myself if I wanted the money? And I'm just not willing to do it. But some people are. Do what you want to do. Sell your cards. You know, maybe you don't care about that card as much and you want to flip it, get rid of it. Go ahead. Do what you got to do. Best of luck to you. I hope everything works out for you, and hopefully you can build your collection up again one day. And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and join our Discord where we talk about things like this frequently. You know, tips and tricks on how to sell collections. That's just one example. We talk about the new best sets and news, everything like that. We have, you know, TCG Pocket, Pokemon predictions, everything that you could possibly think of in this Discord. So if you haven't already joined, go ahead and drop the description down below and get in there. That's going to be all for today's video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you could please like, comment, subscribe, anything helps, and I'll see you on the next one.